Hi, this is Papa G, and welcome to Papa Can Cook. Now, you may wonder why I'm wearing this hat, why there's music playing in the background. Well, I am preparing for an evening that's all things Cuban. My family's coming over for dinner, and I am making Ropa Vieja, which means old clothes. Sounds really appetizing, but I'm telling you, it is really good. It's actually one of the national dishes of Cuba. So let me tell you what goes into it. First of all, beef. So I got a cut of beef chuck. A lot of times they use a flank or skirt steak. That tends to be a little tougher. So if you ask the butcher to cut it with the grain lengthwise, a little longer than wider, then you can use it because you pull it apart. It's almost like a pulled pork type thing, only with beef. Other ingredients, we're going to use some of these crushed tomatoes. We're going to use roasted peppers. Cento is a brand that is gluten-free. We're going to be using pimentos, also Cento, so they're safe. Green olives, I checked, these are gluten-free. You got to check everything. We're going to be using capers. And okay, we're going to be using some fresh vegetables. We use a red, and I'm using a green pepper. You could use a yellow pepper also. Onion, garlic. There's going to be some parsley in the dish. So I just my herb garden is dying out there, so I had to buy some parsley. I hated to have to do it, but I wanted it fresh. We're going to be using a carrot and some celery. And then as far as spices, we're going to be using some chicken broth. Again, this is one brand that's Swanson that's gluten-free. And as far as spices, I'm going to be using dried oregano. I have this Greek oregano that I bought a while ago, and basically I just squish it together and then pour the oregano out. Bay leaves, allspice. It's a lot of ingredients in this, but it's got a lot of flavor. Tomato paste that's going to go in with the tomatoes, paprika, ground cloves, some cumin, ground cumin, and of course salt and pepper. A very flavorful dish. It does take a while to cook. It's got to cook for 2-3 hours, so it's something you have to plan and prepare for ahead of time. I'll be back and we'll do the prep and get the thing started. So the first step in cooking this or preparing this is to take the beef. I took the beef, I patted it dry on both sides. I sprinkled salt on both sides. I did not put black pepper. Some recipes say to do that, but I've learned that if you do that and you're cooking it under high heat and you're going to brown this, you burn the pepper, and then pepper has a burnt taste. So I'm going to take this. I put a liberal amount of oil in this. This is a cast iron pot, but you could use any kind of deep pot that you can cover and keep on there for a while. And I'm going to put that in. I'm going to let that brown nicely on both sides. Take it out. I'm going to clean this plate, put it back in the plate, and then I'll be back and we'll do the vegetables. Okay, the beef has browned nicely on both sides. I'm going to take it out, lower the heat a little bit. I like to cover it because we're going to leave this out for a little while. Cover it with aluminum foil and set it aside. And now we're going to take the vegetables. Now all I've done with the vegetables, I thinly sliced the onions and the 2 red and green peppers. I'm going to put them, now don't take that stuff that's in the bottom of the pan out. That's where the flavor is, so leave that there. Okay. We'll lower the heat a little bit. This doesn't have to be as high as when you're browning the meat. And we're going to cook this for about 15, maybe 20 minutes until it starts to caramelize. The vegetables get softer, that start to caramelize. And I'll be back then and I'll show you the next step. This has been cooking for about 25 minutes. It's The vegetables are all nice and soft. They're caramelized. The onions have turned brown. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I minced up a bunch of garlic. If you're not sure how to do this, easily take a look at my episode on all about garlic. So I'm going to put the garlic in, and I've measured out the spices already. That includes the cumin, the allspice, the paprika, and the cloves, and the oregano. And I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to cook this like this for another minute. Oh, the fragrances, my goodness. It smells, incredible. I wish you could just smell it through the video. Someday, we'll have smell-o-video. Okay, now I'm going to take, now I'm not using, the recipe calls for white wine, and that's fine. You could use white wine. I'm making this alcohol-free, so I have, on my site, I show how to make alcohol-free both white and red wine. Basically, it's apple juice, a cup of apple juice, and a tablespoon of either white vinegar or cider vinegar, which is what I used here. If you're making red wine, it would be a cup of red grape juice. I'm sorry, let me go back. If you're going to make white wine, it's a cup of white grape juice and a tablespoon of either white wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar. If you're going to make substitute for red wine, then you would use red grape juice and red wine vinegar. Same proportions. So I'm going to put this substitute. It'll as far as the recipe is concerned, it'll be the same. I'm going to raise this up because I want to bring it to a nice boil, and I want to deglaze the pan. Now, how am I going to deglaze the pan? I'm going to take my wooden scraper, and as this is boiling, I'm going to scrape the bottom. Get all that goodness up, all that flavor that's stuck to the bottom of the pan. You want to get it in here. Great. Okay, now that is done, now we're going to take the rest of the ingredients are going at this time. I've got chicken stock. I'm going to put that in. I am going to put the crushed tomatoes. I have the tomato paste. And I'm going to put a few bay leaves in here. Oh, I love that smell. Okay, you're going to take them out in the end, so if you put a few extra in, don't tell anybody. All right, so I'm going to bring this up to a boil. Mix it up well. I'm going to bring it to a boil, and then I'm going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and then I'll be back. So this has been simmering now for about 5 minutes or so, and the next step is I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to add pepper, or as Jacques Pepin would say, pepper. Add some pepper. I'm going to put back the beef. Let me just give this a stir first. Very good. And now I'm going to add that browned beef back in, nestle that in the middle. Push it down. Very good. And I'm going to put, now I've taken the carrots and the celery. All I did with the carrots and celery is the carrots, I peeled them and I cut them. It was a long carrot, so I cut it in half, and then I cut it lengthwise a half again. You do them this way because you're going to take them out at the end. You're not going to keep them in here. Just want to cut the ends of this off. Okay, that, and then I'm going to put a number of, oh, here they are, of bay leaves in. Okay, I think I had some in before. Whether you put them in before or after doesn't make any difference. You're going to take them out anyway, and it's a wonderful flavor. Okay, I'm going to stir this a little bit to get the vegetables inside. Oh, this is good. Now, I'm going to bring this back to a simmer, and then I'm going to cover it. And now this is where you need a lot of patience, because this is going to cook simmering with the cover on for 3 to 4 hours until the beef is fork tender and easily falls apart. So don't rush it. Take as long as it takes. When it's done, we'll go on to the next step. It's been cooking now for going on 4 hours. The meat is nice and tender, fork tender. So I've turned down the heat, and I'm going to take the meat out carefully because I don't want it to fall apart as I'm doing it, which it is. That tells me that it is definitely done. I'll get the meat out. Try not to take any of the goodness with it. I'm going to leave that in the pot. Okay, I've got all the meat out. I think I got one more piece. Now this meat I'm going to take and I'm going to shred with 2 forks. Not these for regular forks, I'll shred it. And then what I'm going to do is, first of all I want to take the carrots and the celery out, because they're not going to stay in the dish. We just use them for flavor. Oh, does this smell good? I'm also going to take the bay leaves out, because nobody likes to chomp on bay leaves. Okay, now I'm putting, I prepared the roasted red peppers. Basically I took them, I sliced them thinly. I put the pimientos in, the capers and the green olives. I'm going to put that all in here now and give it a stir. Oh my goodness. Oh, found the bay leaf. Okay. Give it a stir. Oh, found another bay leaf. Boy, they're hiding in here. And turn the heat back up. Bring it to a boil. And let it simmer for about a half an hour to thicken the sauce. When that's done, I'll put the beef back in, and it'll be ready to serve.